Thank you for joining us again to celebrate our 4th annual Mensches and Mimosas, highlighting our community heroes. I'm Jane Ginsberg, President and CEO of Jewish Family Services. We're so proud to bring together volunteers and organizations from across the region to highlight the dedication and leadership of our honoree Mensches, and Marvin Friedman for his lifetime of serving humanity with humility. Many of you know this year's honorees. They are the people who show up and help us realize our respective missions. You'll hear stories about what inspires them to do what they do, and we hope you come away with your hearts as full as ours and feel inspired. You know, when I chat with Marvin Friedman, he always reminds me, when you want something done, give it to a busy person. And this certainly rings true for our Mensches. Each of them has busy personal and professional lives, but make the time to prioritize, strategize, and realize how they can help, whether through philanthropy, teamwork, or good old-fashioned hard work. Like our Mensches, JFS strives to make an impact through compassionate, collaborative human services across the region. Throughout the program, you'll also hear from JFS clients who tell you how their lives have been improved by our services, most of which are free of charge and that we can only continue to offer through our community's generosity, today and in the future. Thank you. And now, on with the show.
A little over a year ago, I fractured my hip. I am now 93, and I live on my own, and there was a question about me. My family felt, could I live alone? Could I be independent? I have to thank the Jewish Family Services for allowing me to maintain my independent way of living. I get my foods because I couldn't stand. I had to learn to walk again. I had to learn to handle things, and I cannot be in a kitchen cooking. Jewish Family Services came to the rescue. They have wonderful volunteers who deliver the meals. You get an ample amount of food. The entrees are good, and I enjoy the appetizers and the desserts. And I have to tell you, they do everything. They go out of their way to make it so good that I can maintain this way of life. And I thank you so much, Jewish Family Services, for coming to my rescue.
Hello, my name is Robin Morrison. I've lived in the Capital Region for a little over 5 years. And after a term on the board of our beloved Jewish Family Services and devoting time to ensure the success of this event, I'm even happier to be a part of this community and its heroes, and more so inspired by the incredibly important work of Jewish Family Services. One of my responsibilities as chair is to ask for money. This money raised is essential as it enables JFS to provide critical, free, and low-cost services to care for those in our community who may not be able to care for themselves. For those watching who have not given, please consider a gift to JFS now. This year in particular, we've been expanding our scope of services, awareness of our supporters, and most importantly, reaching further into our corporate community to build strategic giving partnerships. I invite you to grab a mimosa, orange juice, or champagne optional. Sit back and enjoy watching this feel-good, inspiring program. L'chaim.
Robin, you have brought such energy and creative ideas to us, and we are grateful for your partnership, friendship, and guidance.
Mayor Kathy Sheehan, bringing my congratulations to all of the honorees in this incredible ceremony. Thank you so much for your service, particularly to Marvin Friedman. Thank you for all that you do and that you have done for the Capital Region, whether it's Daughters of Sarah or St. Peter's Hospital or Temple Beth Emet. You have been there for our community. Congratulations.
What an honor to be celebrating such incredible people. This year we had a Mensch meet and greet, and it was such a pleasure to meet so many of you in person.
So what inspires me to be a Mensch? I think it starts with my parents and the upbringing that they raised me with, that they always led by example. And for me, being able to see two people who are always trying to figure out what the right thing to do is and are leading the community and teaching that as values to their children. And me being the youngest, I've gotten to see it through my siblings and through my involvement at the temple. And I think it was very emblematic of my time at SUNY Albany Hillel, and that I want to continue on to make sure that all of these young Jewish adults who are about to enter the world and not have the structure of organized programming have that sense of community and are able to really build something for themselves, the future that they want and that they want to see.
We're grateful for the honor that Jewish Family Services has bestowed upon us. I was born and brought up in Albany, and I met my friend and compatriot through the Council of Jewish Women. And from that position, many years ago when we were teenagers, has become our go-to for each other.
We're like family.
We are.
I care about people and I want to give back. My parents moved to Albany from out of town and went to Jewish Social Services and adopted me. They both had leadership roles in the Jewish community. And through their example, I also have been involved in Jewish community my whole life. Presently, I am part of maintaining the archives at Temple Beth Emeth, and with Carol right here, and we're preserving the past and reaching out to the others, and that to me is the frosting on the cake.
When we took over this position, it came to us with the passing of two wonderful ladies, Addie Muffelder and Pat Snyder, who had the presence of mind to document all about Beth Emeth, its history in the community, and Rabbi Isaac Mayer Wise, who is the leader of the Reform movement. A wealth of information that we have lovingly taken over.
In my involvement with the Schenectady Jewish Community Center, I've had the privilege and the good fortune to be associated with numerous people who are Mensches. From my earliest recollections as a child, I recall my parents reserving the moniker Mensch for those individuals that they considered those of the highest caliber, with empathy, integrity, compassion, and always seemed to do the right thing. Throughout my professional and family life, I've tried to emulate those characteristics. Being a physician, I think it's important to exude those types of characteristics. Going forward, I've tried to instill those characteristics in my children and hopefully my grandchildren so that they can go forth and be positive influences in their community and just continue to do the right thing.
Hi, I'm Linda Schrager. I want to share some exciting news about a new program at JFS. Thanks to an investment from the City of Albany under Mayor Sheehan's leadership, JFS is going to help even more older adults age well in their homes. The program is called In Place. We will be conducting home safety assessments and making recommendations for modifications if needed. Sometimes simple things like installing a grab bar, adding a shower chair, or hallway railings can make a huge difference in improving safety and preventing falls. We also have a new geriatric care manager and geriatric social worker who will help with things like medical advocacy, counseling, and navigating the healthcare system. Please be in touch if you know of older adults who could benefit from this new service.
The next Mensches we'll hear from are driven to inspire by inspiring the next generation.
I've been teaching at Mifgash since its inception 15 years ago. I found that Mifgash plays perhaps its most important role in providing this safe, warm, nurturing Jewish environment. Since my early goals of instilling Jewish identity and Jewish pride, what I've come to realize is that Mifgash and our classes at Mifgash serve this additional function, which is really important, especially as we see this kind of tide of rising anti-Semitism that so many of our students deal with one way or another in their high schools. My privilege of working with these kids over the years, has played that important role in giving them this environment. And hopefully they have wonderful takeaways from it as they move on in life. I've just cherished all of the teaching opportunities, all the different classes I've taught. I think one of the biggest takeaways is that how much I've learned from them over the years, and I cherish every single moment of it. Mazel tov, Arnie!
What inspires me is, of course, my family. There's a lot of volunteers and in service to the community on both sides of my family, all the way back to Eastern Europe and Israel. For me, though, what really inspires me is education, because I feel education is our most powerful weapon to fight hate, to fight anti-Semitism, to bring understanding, and hopefully, and someday, to bring peace. The other thing that's very important to me is to keep the memory of the Holocaust alive. My mother and her parents survived truly by miracles. And I don't want it to become a footnote in a history book. So these are the things that are important to me. And I want to thank, again, Jewish Family Services. I want to thank my synagogue for nominating me.
As I went to Albany for Hebrew lessons, so many wonderful memories at Temple Israel and with my teachers, and I just wanted to. This was the opportunity to do for others what was done for me, was to create an atmosphere so that maybe somewhere down the line, future generations, maybe it was be the son of somebody I taught or the daughter of somebody I taught, might have some sort of influence from what I might have said years and years before, what I might have taught years and years before. So it's just continuing a tradition of handing down things, and it's trying to provide the experiences that were so important for for my life and what I decided to do.
And like Fred, for so many of our honorees, the inspiration to make an impact comes from Lador Vador, from generation to generation.
For me, the answer to the question posed is clear: nature and nurture. I can't identify the exact gene. Perhaps someday somebody will be able to do that. But the DNA is there from both sides, and it's been marinating for generations. Most importantly, I think that the nurture component is key. The strongest and most penetrating example I can share is the giving of the family blessing, otherwise known as the priestly blessing, on the morning before Yom Kippur. And that's a tradition that was established by my maternal grandfather, a rabbi, and has now been carried out with a slightly different twist by his son-in-law, who is my dad, decidedly not a rabbi. Now, in a Zoom meeting with over 50 participants, my dad reminds us of our roots, how blessed we already are, and seeing all the faces on Zoom, all 50 of us, that really immediately reinforces the point, and how much better off we are than most. He then gives his call to action, the moral imperative that is so steeped in our Jewish familial values, which is to continue the work and help perpetuate our combined legacy. And I've been so lucky to be able to have done just that at the Hebrew Academy of the Capital District.
What inspired me to work at Daughters of Sarah started when I was about 8 years old. The original Daughters of Sarah was in Troy on Tibbetts Avenue, and my paternal grandmother was there. We went every Sunday. In past years, a very dear aunt was here for about 7 years. One of the things that I saw, aside from the love and care by the nurses and the aides, was a special place, the hair salon. My aunt had a weekly appointment at the hair salon. Whether she was feeling great or not, she did not miss her appointment. So one of the first projects as president of the auxiliary, I was able to look at the hair salon and let's ask Vicki what she needs, because I knew this is a favorite place. And sure enough, she needed some serious updating. I would say there was no way I could picture a Daughters of Sarah without an auxiliary.
We've been in the Capital Region for a little less than 3 years now. Excited to be here.
Wow, and you're already a mensch.
and I'm already a mensch, thanks to TI.
So we've been in the area for a lot longer than you have, but we hadn't joined a synagogue until probably 10 years ago when my daughter was about 4, my older daughter. And we had gone years and years before. My husband and I, we always are last minute about things, and the high holidays were coming up and we were like, oh my gosh, we have nowhere to go. And a friend said, oh, you should go to Bereth Shalom in Troy. And so we walked up and it was like standing room only. We didn't even get to the sanctuary. We were in the social hall and we were about to turn and leave, and someone reached out and said, come in, and grabbed my hand. And I was like, this feels right. And we met Reb Deb, our rabbi. And from that point on, I just wanted to make a difference for that community.
And so when Temple Israel extended their olive branch to us, it was just like incredible. It was what I needed. I felt respected. I felt accepted. I felt, like I had a voice and was appreciated. And I might say they welcomed us with a fabulous Hanukkah dinner, which was just like the icing on the cake. And ever since then, it's been like a match, that was meant to be. It's an easy thing to kind of be dismissive about helping out at first. It could be very anxiety provoking and getting your feet steady. But once you're in, you kind of look back and think, I can do this. And, not only can I do this, but I could get others to come on and join the fun.
Thinking back, what inspires me, my parents, mostly my mother, was a long-time supporter of the synagogue that I grew up in Bayside, Queens. She was the parent of the chairman of the PTA and the head of the sisterhood, and we always had meetings, and she had to go here and had to go there, and that was part of our DNA. Our DNA as kids, and my siblings, I'm one of 4, are all very, very active in their individual communities and professionally. I was very, very honored to be nominated by the JCC, and my involvement with the JCC goes all the way back to when my children were in the preschool. And many of my adult friends were parents of kids in the preschool. I got very, very involved in the JCC. The JCC does tremendous things for the community, children, adults, the pool, camp, all of those things that have touched me directly. And the very, very least I can do is to give back in any way possible. And my board service to the JCC is the way that I felt like I gave back to a wonderful, wonderful organization.
Thank you to the Masry family for your unwavering and visionary leadership and support.
My mother's brother, Carl Myers, was born with a number of health issues, and it was suggested to me many years ago to contact Jewish Family Services. The services JFS and Lisa provided to Carl included rides to temple, rides to the grocery store, JCC senior dinners twice a week that Carl loved, personal transportation, and being his advocate at doctor's appointments and when he was in the hospital. Lisa went grocery shopping for Carl during COVID and arranged for dinners to be delivered to his apartment. Lisa Galley became family to me and to Carl. Because of Lisa's love, knowledge, compassion, and professionalism, Carl was very comfortable and I could relax a bit so far away.
Before attending Mimosas, I went to public school. When I switched to Maimonides, I didn't know any of the Jewish subjects, Gemara, Mishnah, and until I went to Maimonides, and all the teachers supported me and taught me all these subjects. I learned from my parents to give back to the community and to help volunteer for Maimonides and other organizations.
Giving back to the community, participating in Tikkun Olam, and volunteering is the way I grew up. My father, who was a Holocaust survivor, taught us all, actually, my sister, my brother, and I, that to have a community is the most precious thing you can have. And you never know when something like that is going to be taken away. So I grew up giving, I still give, and it is actually an honor and part of my very fiber to do that. I'm very grateful to Ohav Shalom for the Jewish community it provides, and to JFS for all the good it does. And I'm just so honored to be here and celebrating all of us.
Hi, Neil Golub here. Mazel tov to all JFS Mention honorees, and to my friend Marvin Friedman. Thank you for your hard work and commitment to our community. Be well and stay safe.
Thank you, Neil. Your investment in JFS and our collaborative volunteer program helps us extend the reach of our missions.
Congratulations to this year's Mensches, and thank you, Jewish Family Services, for providing support, services, and resources for individuals and families throughout our community since 1854.
Hi, my name is Leslie, and I became active in the NORC in 2019 when I fully retired from my job. I'm a joiner, so the first thing I did was request being on the Residents Council. We meet once a month with a number of people, and we sort of give our ideas on what kind of programs other people in the organization might like to attend. Also, one of my favorite activities is to go to the ice cream social, but my goal at the social is to eat all the creamsicles that are available. The other programs that I really enjoy attending are those on health and wellness and how to live better in your own life, tending to any medical needs that you have. I also live on a street, and I know the North takes very good care of its residents. During COVID, one of my neighbors who was housebound always had his meals delivered by people in the North, and it was very appreciated.
Our next honorees know it takes a village and are inspired by the teams they work with in their respective organizations.
My parents always inspired me to be kind and helpful and to use everything God gave me for the good. But not having grown up in the Jewish community in Missouri, where I'm from, it wasn't really within the context of the Jewish community. So as I became more religious and moved to Albany and became part of the Jewish community in Albany, I was able to then really see from everyone around me how everyone utilized whatever God gave them with, whether it be their time or resources or talents, how they utilized that for the betterment of the Jewish community. And whether that was just like one person in the Jewish community or whether that was at the Jewish community at large, I was able to really see that. And that really was the impetus to me wanting to just follow suit and to also jump in and do my part. I think it's really incredible when we can all be inspired with and from each other, and we should continue to use everything God gives us for the good, just to bring more holiness to the Jewish community and the world at large.
For me, what I do with Shalom Pantries is really, really important because, number one, it's about food insecurity, a very meaningful problem for me to address. And another reason I do it is time-wise. I've wanted to give back to this community for so long, and because I spend so much of my time not in this community, in Boston a lot, where I take care of my 92-year-old mother and where other things go on, the fact that I'm able to do something is huge. I'm reminded of the story of the starfish but there's so many iterations of it. I'll just say that, it's about making a difference. And I know that what I do does not have a huge impact on the world, but for the 11 or 12 or 13 people that I help up in Niskayuna, it's the world. It makes a huge, huge difference to them.
Hello, my name is Yoshua Matali. I would like to thank JFS and the Chevra Kadisha of the Capital District for nominating me for this honor. I'm truly grateful and humbled to be nominated among these amazing and special people, hidden gems if you will, who give so much to serve our Jewish community. I'm constantly inspired by Rabbi and Rebbetzin Bamser and all the other members of the Chevra Kadisha who constantly strive to go above and beyond what is required to fulfill the motto of Chesed Shalom Emet, charity of truth and loving kindness.
I just came in from planting an oak in front of the temple. The oak will get to be very tall. It's a white oak and it supports many, many different species of caterpillars. The birds like caterpillars in the spring, they don't like seeds. So that's the kind of thing the landscape committee does at the temple.
So Marty does the outdoor stuff and I do the indoor stuff. I'm chairman of the house committee, which basically means the resident handyman. And one of the things I'm proudest of is this ark behind me that we rescued from one of the old temples downtown.
I have a committee of 6 people. 2 of them were here today digging their hearts out because they too feel that this temple is worth it.
This is a very friendly place. When we first came in here, we came to service, people came up and said hello, introduced themselves, asked about us. We decided to join immediately, and we've been here for 30 some odd years.
The real Mensches are Rabbi Mordechai and Chana Rubin. They work tirelessly and diligently to make the area have a rich Jewish presence. It's my honor to be able to help them in any way I can. I help with dinners and groceries and events. At the end of the day, it makes me feel good to help others and to help the Rubins.
Congratulations to all the Mensches. We're so proud of you. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
JFS clinicians provide counseling for individuals of all ages and backgrounds. They have expertise in grief and loss, anxiety, depression, relationships, trauma, and more. Clients can be seen in person, virtually, or over the phone, and they are able to accept most major insurance plans.
We could all use someone to talk to. Whether or not clients have adequate insurance to cover costs for counseling or they need help from grants and donations, our expert clinicians are here.
Without a second thought, these Mensches show up for their community and for those in need. They recognize their kindness and the joy of paying it forward. Just like Marvin Friedman, who we'll hear from shortly, these Mensches are there for our community.
I think it's so cool that we're here together. I mean, after all, you and I met through volunteer work.
The volunteer work that we met at was Music Haven, and a big theme of volunteer work that I do is joy. And I find that many of my activities that I do at Congregation Agudat Achim bring joy to people, myself also.
It's such a rewarding but joyous feeling when you can volunteer and really make a difference in people's lives. I know that's one of the things that I like doing about delivering the kosher meals for Jewish Family Services, is that you really feel like you're making a difference, a sort of a connection to the greater community in the outside world.
Right, and even the greater community coming back to the synagogue and the Carrot Festival, which is my biggest activity, and again, coming back to the theme of joy. I think that's my favorite volunteer activity that I do, but not only because it brings people in our congregational community together through our planning throughout the year, and then we have over 100 volunteers who actually come and volunteer on that day.
I mean, volunteerism is so important, especially to nonprofit organizations. I actually retired from working for a nonprofit about 7 years, and I understood there how important volunteers are to the mission. So with Jewish Family Services, they really depend on us. And what's great about the kosher meal program, you could do it every week, which I've been doing actually since COVID. I mean, I feel old thinking about that. But, you could also be a substitute, as you said. You could just help out when you can and if it fits your schedule. But organizations in our community, they can't do it themselves. They really rely on volunteers.
We feel very strongly that the Jewish community is important to our family. It's essential to our identity, to how we're raising our children. And for those organizations that are important to us to be successful, sometimes someone has to step up and do the hard work. We know many of them. We volunteered with many of them because we all have that same drive to make our community great for ourselves because it's what we need, but also for our friends and for others.
And I think it's the care for the community, and it's the values that our parents taught us. It's the values that we learn in the Torah. Thinking about this, I was going back through Pirkei Avot, Emor me'at ve'aseh harbeh. Shammai said that, and you should say little and do a lot. It's your deeds that count. It's not just about what you do in public. It's about what you do when few people are watching, when no one's watching. It's showing up when people need you in the community.
We both had those role models from our parents, and all four of our parents volunteered growing up. We have those role models as adults now, and we want our kids to see that we step up and we do things. They see that now going back 2 or 3 generations, and we hope that they are getting those values of what it means to be part of a Jewish community.
Hi, I'm Linda Russell, and I'm going to tell you why Sandy Rubin is Congregation Beth Shalom's nominee for Mensches and Mimosas. Sandy has been Sisterhood President for at least 6 years. She started out as a co-president, but when her co-president passed away, she continued on as the sole president. And not only did she keep Sisterhood going, she kept it going as a vital part of Congregation Beth Shalom. She added programming, she worked in tandem with the Men's Club to produce joint programming, and that was so successful that the two groups have formed a partnership, and we are now the Sisterhood Men's Club Partnership. Sandy can always be counted on for a Shiva minyan. She helps with Rayut. She helps it with any place and anything that we need help. And she does this without fanfare. She's not one to toot her own horn, so we're tooting it for her.
I don't really see myself as doing much more than other people do, but I definitely felt flattered, for sure.
And what inspires you to volunteer?
Well, that's pretty easy. I think that when I moved up to this area in Clifton Park, there really were not a lot of Jews. I didn't grow up very religious. And then when I found the Clifton Park Chabad, it was like finding my family, like my people, somewhere where I felt not only welcome, but needed. So it wasn't like when I do things, I don't feel like I'm doing anything out of the ordinary. So I feel like I'm just helping out my family.
Mazel tov to Marvin Friedman and all of the honorees at this year's JFS celebration. Each of you are dedicated champions of our communities. And on behalf of the citizens of New York's 20th Congressional District, a hearty thank you for all you do.
Before we hear from more Mensches, I want to share a special presentation of the JFS Anshel Weiss Community Builders Award to Marvin Friedman. First, from someone whom serving humanity with humility is so second nature that we named the award after him, Anshel Weiss himself.
Marvin, I just heard that you're going to be the recipient of the Community Service Award this year, and I think it's wonderful, and I'm thrilled to know that you really have been a part of JFS for a very long time, thanks to your efforts and Steve Lobel's efforts. And together, I'm sure you behind the scenes with Steve, helping him along as well. And now it's good that you're getting your recognition for all that you do for the agency and for the community. And may you go from strength to strength. I'm honored to have my name placed with yours.
Thank you to Anshel for your tribute to Marvin. And now Rabbi Scott Speen will present Marvin with the award.
When I first came to Albany, I remember going and meeting your mother, Tess, may she rest in peace, who at the time lived at the B'nai B'rith Parkview apartments. And when I went to see and met Tess, I remember saying to her, Tess, everywhere I go, the JCC, Parkview Apartments, Federation, the Temple, there's a picture of Daughters of Sarah, there's a picture of Marvin, having played some significant role of leadership in all of those organizations and agencies. And your mother looked at me and she smiled as only Tess could, and she said, that's my Marvin. And she was so proud, and certainly I know your leadership and the commitment that you have to this community emanates from your strong family ties here in this community that go back for generations. Indeed, Marvin, you have been a pillar of this community in so many ways, perhaps having touched every Jewish organization locally in some way or some form through your leadership, most significantly here at Beth Emeth, as being the president, now our senior past president, and your long-standing involvement in these last 40 years. I can't think of anything that happened here at Beth Emeth of great significance that you were not intimately involved. Your leadership has been something that has been ongoing, lifelong. Even as you enter into your ninth decade, you continue to serve our community admirably and always there in any way that we need. So it is with great pleasure and a personal privilege that I feel, especially because of the wonderful relationship and friendship that our families have shared all of these years, the role model that you've been for me, the mentor and confidant that you have been for me. Certainly it gives me great pleasure to present you with this year's Anshel Weiss Community Builders Award for a lifetime of serving humanity with humility. And indeed, Marvin, Mazel Tov, Yasher Koach, and just know that your rabbi and your Beth Emeth family are so very proud of you and all that you've done and the incredible legacy that you have left in our community. Marvin, thank you, and Mazel Tov.
I want to thank my rabbi and dear friend, Rabbi Speen, for his kind words and his taking part in this event. It adds great meaning to this. I want to express my appreciation to the wonderful people at Jewish Family Services for doing the important work that is done there. JFS came into being about 170 years ago. The first Jewish group to settle in the area were from Germany. They were educated and came with resources to build factories called shoddy mills to reprocess waste fibers. Sometimes later, the pogroms in Eastern Europe brought many people like peddler Tevye from Fiddler on the Roof to this area. They came with only a few personal belongings and did not speak the language. They certainly needed much help. The only thing they shared with the Jewish community was their faith. Jewish community in the capital region had the resources. They felt an obligation to help and created Jewish Family Services. And here we are today. In that spirit, JFS has been here in our community in time of need, time and time again. I encourage each of you to consider contributing or otherwise supporting the wonderful work of JFS. I was brought up in a family that celebrated being Jewish and was encouraged by the influence, particularly of both of my grandfathers, who were examples in doing their part in for the Jewish people. I have dedicated as much time as possible to do the same. I also understand that I'm a member of the greater community, so I've made certain to be as active as possible in organizations to make the greater community what it is. Lastly, I could not have accomplished what I have done and without the help of many people. So I thank you who helped me do this, and I share the award with you.
Let me add, I have known Marvin for many years, and his pride and commitment to our community is paramount. From his days as a young Federation leader to his service on several national boards, Marvin's lifetime of prioritizing the needs of our community is remarkable. He says he was in the right place at the right time, but like all of our Mensches, it takes someone saying, yes, I'll do it. I'll step up.
Congratulations to all the honorees for your commitment back to the community. We cannot thank you enough here in Albany County, and especially Marvin Friedman. I have to say your commitment over your lifetime of giving back to the community and leading by example says so much, not about you and who you are, and you inspired generations of people. So again, Marvin, thank you so much for what you've done.
It is a testament to generations past and setting a fine example that we hear from our final group of Mensches whose acts of goodness and kindness inspired generations to come.
It is a privilege to be selected, but the words that come to my mind are dedication, commitment, perseverance, joy, talent, intelligence. I think these are the earmarks of the people who are have the privilege of being honored today, but really represent all the volunteers around those very perhaps leaders in order to accomplish their work. So I think this is a wonderful occasion to celebrate the work that we can do together. You have to have the support of your own family. Over the years, lots of board positions. Our family understood volunteering and support and carried this when we moved to Schenectady as a young family, my family and 2 young children. And first met with my sister, Betty Kraut, who really is my mentor. It's not one person's work. It's collectively people working together.
When you grow up on Long Island, there's so many Jewish people that you don't realize that Federation and Jewish Family Services and the VOD exists because they just exist. And nobody concentrates or talks about them. When you live in Albany, New York, you have to have a community that supports each other. That's our job as members of a community, to support the community. And the VOD is one leg of that multi-legged chair to support this community that we live in. Without a VOD, you can't have a kosher house, and we need a price chopper to provide easy kosher food for us.
Well, the VOD provides a wonderful opportunity for everybody in the Capital District to have kosher food. VOD HaKashrut of the Capital District. When we were in Israel, I showed our grandchildren the long, long list of all the kosher supervisory agencies in the entire United States and around the world, and our insignia, the VOD, was right there, prominent. And our grandkids were so proud to realize that we are part of supporting that organization.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Our community and our family serve as our inspiration to us.
36 and a half or so years ago, we came to Saratoga to serve Temple Sinai. And from the moment we got there, we had wonderful collaborative leadership. We had wonderful response and support from the congregation. It's like we had a 36-year honeymoon.
And the other piece is family. We both were blessed to have wonderful role models in our parents. And of course, we are also inspired by our kids, because our kids look to us and we want to be the kind of people that our children would be proud of. And that's mirrored by all the hard work so many of you in the Capital District do.
So we toast the event, we toast all the sponsors, and we toast our fellow honorees. Mazel tov to all of you, and thank you for this great honor.
Hello, my name is Cole Libby. I am chair of JFS's board of directors. I want to add my thanks and congratulations to all the Mensches, and especially Marvin Friedman, JFS's Anshel Weiss Community Builders Award recipient, for all that they have done to contribute to our thriving community. At JFS, this is a year of growth while deepening the impact through essential services and meaningful and innovative programs. It is also a year to build a foundation and ensure our agency's vibrant future. I am thrilled to announce that JFS has created a Life and Legacy program to build that foundation and ensure that our community always has a safety net. I am also honored to be one of the first to name JFS in my will to do just that. I would like to thank as well the others who have joined in naming JFS in their legacy plans. Please join us in building this foundation. You can learn more about Life and Legacy at our website, or if you're ready, please contact our CEO, Jane Ginsburg, to discuss your legacy plans. Thank you.
You know, when we asked each Mensch to tell us what inspires them to go above and beyond, what they've really done is inspire us. We wish we could spend more time hearing from Marvin and each honoree because they really deserve all the honor. It's clear that their passionate, selfless work enables our community organizations to function. From making sure the grounds are kept, to the meals are prepped, and everything in between, we are just so blessed in Northeastern New York. Here's a toast to Marvin and the Mensches, l'chaim. And to JFS's own awesome volunteers, our staff, board, and event committee, here's to you. And to Monica Tan, Director of Marketing, who ensures this event and all things JFS are taken care of and looking good, kol hakavod, thank you. And finally, to our visionary leaders, the Masri family, Neil Golub, and our partners at Jewish Federation and many more funders who have come on board to embrace our mission, and to all of you who supported tonight's event, here's to you. This year, we've expanded our corporate sponsorship opportunities to give partners even more visibility throughout the year. Contact me and visit our website for details. We're proud to bring the community together, year after year, because we are all in this together, supporting individuals, families, and organizations. Oh wait, one more thing. Next year, JFS celebrates its 170th anniversary. Big plans are in the works, and we hope you'll join us to celebrate in person. Can't wait to see you then. Until then, good night. still here? Mensches, I know. We can't get enough of them either.